Good morning. It's May the 15th, and I'm walking along the creek, but I decided to come a little further out, so I'm over on the other side of the Lewvan. That's the dike ahead of me, which is where I'll be headed. And yeah, off we go. And this will take me over by the RCMP barracks and fun stuff like that. The first trick is to get up on the dike. You see the bicyclist going by there. I thought about coming this way a little earlier, but I knew with the river high, I probably couldn't get under some of the bridges and overpasses. So it will be down now, I think, based on what I've seen elsewhere. So once we get on the dike here, this will also take us by the off-leash dog park down to my right. So normally I'm walking on the other side of that street, a little further over there. So I drove over here this morning just to spread it out. It's a beautiful morning. Currently, I don't know, about 18 maybe. I didn't ask when I went out, didn't ask Google or Siri, but that's what it feels like. It's supposed to go to 26. It's going to be another warm day like it was yesterday. Here's the bike path. Sorry, the multi-use path. So there's the creek. Okay, we're not exactly walking alongside it, but it'll come back to us. This is the off-leash dog park, and that is the it's a curling rink over there. Is that the Sandra Schmerler? I think so. Celta are just ahead of us. And I parked over there at the Italian Club, which is where I will end up once I've walked around a bit. Back at Easter, I sang with the First Baptist Choir for their Easter concert. And the director was all banged up because she'd been out here at the off-leash dog park and her dog was running around and knocked her over on the ice. So no danger of that now. Everything is starting to get into that peak spring greenness. You can smell it. It smells green. It smells good. I don't know if it's oxygen or what makes that smell. Well, oxygen doesn't smell, so it's clearly not oxygen. So a great place to come out with your dog. We have a cat, so it wouldn't be a good place for him. He wouldn't enjoy it, although the dogs might. The airport is back that way. It's kind of an industrial area over there. I have walked over there once, but it's not very interesting or pedestrian friendly for that matter. And I hope my knee holds up well here today. Publishing wise, I just did the draw for my Sask Expo draw. I had about 58 new people sign up for my newsletter and enter their email in my draw, so I've already notified the winner. And I sent out a special newsletter to the others to welcome them to my newsletter. Some of those people will unsubscribe. Every time I send out a newsletter, somebody unsubscribes. It's like, what am I getting this thing for? Even though they asked for it. Don't sign up anybody that didn't do it knowingly. I also have a Shadow Paw Press newsletter. Both of these newsletters, should you be interested, you can sign up to. If you go to my website, edwardwillett.com, you can sign up for my newsletter. And if you go to shadowpawpress.com, my publishing company, you can, not surprisingly, sign up for the Shadow Paw Press newsletter. Another cyclist coming, two of them. I used to cycle this myself, but I don't have a bicycle at the moment, as I've said before. Every bicycle I've owned in Regina has been stolen, eventually. The worst thing about the last one is I finally had found a bike helmet that would fit me, and which is difficult because my head is a funny shape and it's big. And that got stolen with my bicycle, so if I get a new bicycle, I have to get a new bike helmet. I may not be able to find one. It's not really a bike path, it's a multi-use pathway, so if you're on a bike, you have to be aware of the pedestrians who have every bit as much right to be on this path as you do. But it is good for biking. And then this street takes you on out. It intersects the new Regina bypass further out. So it's probably got more traffic than it used to when it just kind of went into the country. There is a bypass around the city now that never used to exist. They just built it in the last few years. It's still weird whenever I go on it because it's like it never used to be there. Don't use it very often because we live downtown, so I want to go downtown. But I have occasionally come in from this direction. Even some trees for the dogs. I'm sure they've been well peed on. Kind of see a radar dome sticking up over there. That's all airport land, kind of out in that direction. See how my knee does. It did well yesterday for the long walk. It has twinged me a little bit this morning, but it is still definitely better than it was at its worst. So I hope the long-term trend is positive and it gets back to normal. Normal for me, which is always a little bit of too much moving around on. They don't exactly get sore, but they'll get stiff. Yeah. Another bicyclist has to watch out for pedestrians. He should have rung a bell, of course, or give me some warning he was there, because what if I'd suddenly gone, oh, look at that? I would have smacked him in the face. Oh, you didn't see what I did, but I pointed to the left. And I know, because I was not a bicyclist that was very good at warning people, I came up behind them either. But once you're a pedestrian, you're very aware of it, because the cyclist is on you before you know, and there should be a mirror there, but those always get vandalized so that you can see what's coming around the bend here. So you're supposed to get off your bike, and I would think nobody does that. Certainly that guy didn't, or the people that passed me going the other way. Oh, what's that in the... Oh, that's just a rock. I thought maybe it was something swimming, but no. So here we are, under another bridge, by the creek. There's the cell tower. I should be getting good coverage right here, unless I'm under the under it, maybe too low. Oh, a couple of ducks. A pair of ducks. Soon to have ducklings, I'm sure. Do you like duckling? I don't know. I've never duckled. Doesn't really work. The joke is actually, do you like Kipling? I don't know. I've never kippled. It shows you it's a very old joke, since very few people make jokes about Rudyard Kipling anymore. Did read Kim in high school myself, and I've read The Jungle Book. I read it as a kid because I'd seen the movie. Book's better than the movie. The movie's good though. I like The Jungle Book. Oh, for the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your worries and your strife. That's the Jungle Book. If you're a certain age, you know all those songs. Probably most kids. A lot of kids probably do, because of course you can now watch all the old Disney animation on Disney Plus whenever you want to. Which would have been a dream come true for me at one point. These kids today, they don't know how special it was when we got to the point where you could rent movies and see them again. Instead of just catching them, if you were lucky, in a rerun on television, and no way to even record that if you missed it, and it'd be stuffed with commercials. Oh, it's the dark ages, I tell you. There's another path I could have taken, which would have been much shorter. That joins this one up here, but I'm not looking to make it shorter necessarily. I don't know how far. I might not go as far as I sometimes go on this walk. I might vary it a bit and get off the path before it gets all the way to Dudney. If I go all the way to Dudney, it's a good solid hour by the time I get back to the car. Next up will be the Royal Regina Golf Club. So we go into this next bridge. This is a railway bridge. The last one was a car bridge, road bridge. There's the Mosaic Stadium over there. You can see the SGI tower directly ahead. It's kind of gold one. Downtown, it's that way. And as you would expect, this is the main Trans-Canada Railway here. So it runs right through the heart of downtown. A little to the north of where downtown ended up being, but basically. And another creek. You can see that the water is moving at a fairly good clip along here once you see it flowing around something. And there's the golf course over there, Royal Regina. This is where I had an accident on my bike years ago. Two of us going in opposite directions clipped each other, and the other rider broke her arm. And I almost ended up going head first into the rocks there. I did not have a helmet, so you may be lucky I'm with you. That could have been much worse than it was, that little coming together. Oh, it's looking so nice now. Hard to believe it was just a month ago I fell in the ice after the last big snowstorm. There's some golfers. Funny how you find them on golf courses. It's like it's their natural habitat. I think those are probably tame golfers, not wild golfers. I don't know when the mating season is for golfers. Year round, I think. It takes a long time before the little golfers are able to golf, though. And they nest, and well, some of them probably nest right along the golf course here. But they can nest quite far afield, golfers, pretty much anywhere. And then they migrate to golf courses before returning to their nests. It's a fascinating bit of natural history. This used to be its own community, as it says here. The historic community of McNabb. But it's not McNabb anymore, it's just part of Regina. Now it's just a neighborhood. Golfers, as I said. Wild or domestic, you make the call. I lifted it a little higher, you can see over the fence and see how pretty it is. It's a nice course. I've never played it, but I'm not much of a golfer. I would like to be a golfer, but somehow I'm not a golfer. I'm not sure how that's happened over the years. Part of it is it's such a time-consuming activity. Maybe when my wife is retired, we'll take up more golfing than we're doing now. I'm glad I came this way. It's really pretty. Here in the early spring. Well, it's not really early spring. We're 2/3 of the way into spring and only a month from summer, but around here this is still the beginning of real spring, really, when the buds come out. The geese are over there eating some of the fresh green golf grass. Bit of a flood control berm here, which would indicate that there have been times when the creek has been much higher than it is now. Nice neighborhood here in McNabb. If you have one of these houses, you have a nice view because the golf course makes it all green and open on this side. Yes, very thin ice right now. I would not advise walking on it without divine help. That tree's not doing well. I'd say it's dead. It's dead, Jim. I'm a doctor, not a tree pruner. An arborist, I guess. Surprised nobody has said hello this morning. Anybody watching? Hello? Anybody out there? Another bicyclist. Oddly enough, I don't think I've seen a dog yet, which is unusual. Say that didn't sound like a bicyclist. Sure enough, it's not. Yeah, you have a nice lot of green space right out here, which is why they have some of them have high up decks so they can look out at the view, I would say. Look over the fence and out that way. Kind of interrupted by the railroad track, but I suppose if you're high enough, you can see on out to the prairie. More golfers up here, and I hear a loon over there somewhere. Some of that green smell is coming from the mower there. Not seeing a lot of flowers yet, but they'll come. I haven't seen any, to be perfectly fair, although I would think the tulips have been up over there. Tulips. We sometimes have some out in front of our house, but I haven't seen them. Groundskeeper. I worked on a golf course one summer. I hated it, but I did it. I'll tell you how young I was that summer. I missed a week's work because I got the measles. I liked it though. If it rained, I didn't have to go to work, and they paid me anyway. At least that seemed to be how it worked. So I was always hoping for rain. And I didn't have a car of my own. I had to be dropped off. So those were the days, the halcyon days of youth. Empress Park is what this is specifically called. I guess I'll carry on. It's too nice a day to head back just yet. This is one of the places where I could have cut my walk shorter. I think I'll keep going. Go down that way is the golf clubhouse. It's down that road. I've been there for dinners. And also down that way takes you to the back entrance to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police Depot, barracks. It's where they do every Mountie in Canada trains. Just down that way. We'll see it better further up. It's the home of the RCMP. That road will take you there. You can actually see the sign. That's not the main entrance. That is an entrance. It'll be a bicycling morning for some reason. Of course, just a little further away from us now. We'll swing back closer to it up here. And still no one has said hello this morning. I'm feeling unloved. One of the mini maps that shows you just how extensive the entire pathway is. I think there's 44 kilometers or something of pathway altogether. So not something I can do in a day. There are people who walk the whole thing. They do it over multiple days. It's all very well, but you need somebody to pick you up after you've walked your 8 kilometers or whatever of the day. 10, however many you want to go. Because you have to walk just as far to get back to your car, so it takes some coordination. That's actually part of the RCMP training grounds over there, so you see those kind of climbing things, part of their training facilities. Apartments. We will climb up and over this hill, I think. My knee may not like it, but I'm willing to risk it. There's cyclists coming at a good pace. So it's all Mountie land on this side of on the other side of the creek here. Okay, we'll go up the hill so we get a better view. Not a natural hill, obviously. Landfill. Bicyclists like to go up and then race down the other side. And even a little bit of elevation gives you more views, so let's consider our situation. I might cut off this big loop on down that way and head on up to Dudney here, just to keep this walk a little shorter than it is otherwise. I'm already, what? Oh, I've gone as long as I think I have. Maybe I'll carry on. Anyway, so if we look back to the golf course, RCMP land, that's the barracks over there, the training depot. And then you look that way, and that sort of pointy building is the National Museum. That's the RCMP Museum. And then you have the creek. City-owned sports field over here. There's also baseball diamonds. And then my daughter's high school, Lewvan College, is off to the right. That's their parking lot over there. We'll be there a bit later. Ease my way down the hill. And he's not complaining too much, so that's good. I'll go a little bit further down the path. I still may not go as far as I sometimes do. There's a couple of places where you can leave the path and head on up to Dudney. That might be what I do, just to make it a little shorter. I do have lots of things to do. It is very pretty. Another bicyclist. Why aren't these people in school and or work? They can't all be freelance riders. Some of the training equipment over there. Obstacle course, I would say. Oh, these are actually cops coming, I think, now, potentially. Nope, they weren't cops. Just because they were wearing the high visibility vests, I thought they might be. There are bike cops that patrol on the bike paths, some. Don't see them very often, but I have seen them. Or even downtown, you'll see them sometimes. But no, those are not the cops. Or wild, or those rocks. I guess those were rocks. I thought they were geese, but no. Some of them are rocks. Some of them are birds. Is that what's going on? Yes, that's what's going on. Rocks or wood, I don't know which. There's the baseball field over here on this side, behind those lights. Lots of cattails down here. Haven't grown up this year. Those are old ones. Are they kitten tails when they first start? Before they become cattails? Flashing down there must be some work going on. Yeah, I think I will cut off the loop up here. It's not too much further, but keep the walk a little shorter than it might be. Just to save a little time, really, while still getting in a decent walk. Could cut across this grass, actually, but no, and it's not, oh, it's fenced, though. It might be trapped if I tried to do that. You just see more of the same if I carry it on around this bit of creek. It's very pretty along here, though. If I go back, I'll tarry a little bit more, maybe at Government House, then. Although their garden won't be anything yet. Flowers probably aren't in it, but we'll take a turn through the Edwardian garden at Government House on the way back. So I will leave the path here and go up this alley instead, which I don't do very often. Not this alley. Let's go over to the street. This one over here is Grassic Park, is what they call it. Move into the backyards. They got themselves a big truck. Looks like some work going on there. I don't know what it is. We'll might find out when we turn the corner. See the creek again, but so up ahead, the busy street is Dudney Avenue. Actually, one of the major roads when the city first began, because it has the territorial building, and when this was capital of the Northwest Territories, long before it was a province. And of course, Government House, the Lieutenant Governor there ruled what is now Western Canada and Yukon and Northwest Territories. There wasn't representative government yet, so it was literally ruled by the Lieutenant Governor, who was appointed by the Crown or by Parliament. Interesting question. That's pre-Can. Well, no. Probably appointed by Ottawa, I guess. It was after Confederation, but before there were any provinces out here. When the first Government House was built for the Lieutenant Governor. I wrote a book about it. I wrote the history of Government House, or rewrote an existing history and added to it to bring it up to date. You'd think I would know it better than I do, but I've written a lot of books. You can't remember everything you wrote. It's not like I remember the words in the novels I wrote either, although they do come back to you when you edit one that's old enough. I just redid Soulworm, my first published novel. Will be coming out in a new edition pretty soon. I don't think I'll get it done this month because I'll be away, but this summer. And it was like, as I read it, I thought, oh, yeah, I remember that. So it is all kind of back in my head somewhere, but you can't pull it out without a reminder. You see, Dudney is very broad. 4 lanes. And parking on either side. Probably the widest street in the city. I guess Victoria might be just as wide. Victoria though doesn't have 4 lanes, so not in the same way. This looks wider to me than Victoria, but Victoria has a boulevard down the middle, so it's hard to judge. We are coming up on the baseball field I mentioned earlier. Working up a perspiration walking this morning. I'm wearing sunglasses and they're threatening to slip down my nose. I should have put a glasses guard on them. But it's nice from my eyes point of view when I'm wearing contacts to keep the dust out of my eyes. Yeah, I would have been trapped inside that fence if I'd come the other way. There must be a way out, but I'll check it out this time, and maybe next time I'll walk up that way for a change. It's the bleachers. Doesn't seat a huge number of people, as you can see. But it's well utilized because it has lights and it's one of the nicer fields. So. And I think it's probably suitable for baseball as opposed to just slow pitch. There's lots of slow pitch fields, but they don't have to be as big. Actual baseball fields have to be much bigger. Yeah, I think I probably could have gotten out over here had I ended up inside the fence. That might only be because there's somebody working there. point in walking over there. It's all dirt. Optimist Park, says the big stone sign. Right there. Optimist Park. As in the Optimist Social Club. And then we come to Luther College High School, my daughter's high school. 4 years ago now she graduated. Because she's graduating from the University of Toronto now. We'll spend the next year here while she prepares for graduate school. And then we'll see where she goes next year. It's a possibility she'll be going all the way to London, England, but we don't know yet. She's working on becoming a physiotherapist with a specific interest in helping dance, professional dancers. So that's her long-term goal. Let's see how that plays out. Hopefully it all works out for her. At the very least, I'm sure she'll be a physiotherapist, and she will work with dancers whenever she can. This simple gymnasium here at CMPLE is the largest high school gymnasium in the province. Luther has some wealthy alumni and 2 Nobel Prize winners, I think. 1 for sure, who's an alumni of Luther. So it's an academic school. I know 1 for sure. Maybe I'm exaggerating when I say 2, but yeah, there's at least 1 Nobel Prize winner. I'm going to go down this way, cross behind the president's house to get to the government house. And they invite some of the biggest high schools. But yeah, in general, it's tough to compete with a smaller school. Here's the front of it. That's the old part. It was built in the teens, I guess. Very handsome building. There's also then a big new part with most of the classrooms in it. But if you go to school there, you end up going in both of them. And the old part doesn't have as good a climate control, so it's always not the most popular place for the kids. Anyway, here's another look at it. Haven't had any reason to go in there for a while. Used to drive Alice here every morning, but those days are past. It feels like it'll last forever when you start it, and it seems to take a long time when you're doing it, and then when it's over, it's like, where did the time go? Anyway, very attractive building, and a great school for the academically minded. Here's where I want to cross over. This is their practice football field. As it says, Luther College football field, use of this field must be approved by Luther College. Luther College is also a college at the University of Regina. That's Luther College. This is Luther College High School, but Luther College is the overarching educational institution, I guess. That's the president's house for Luther College. President lives there. And this is Christ Lutheran Church, where we just had our Wascana Voices is a choir I'm currently singing with. Might be singing with again in the fall. We had our concert there. I've sung many choir concerts in there. And been to others, because that's where my daughter's choir concerts tended to be when she was at Luther, off of it being right next door. I'm not sure why there's so many cars in the parking lot. There must be other things that go in there besides church, because church isn't a big thing on Mondays. And if we carry on here, we emerge into the There's a dog. I think it's the first one I've seen. We emerge into Government House, Edwardian Garden. That path right there takes us onto that. But as I said, I don't expect to see any flowers. So Edwardian Gardens are designed as a series of rooms. Oh, there are some over here. Let's go take a look. Yeah, they have planted stuff, so we're starting to see flowers here. So you have a series of rooms that are each with their own design. Hi.
I follow your YouTube channel.
Ah, well, here I am doing it.
Amazing.
Want to wave?
Hello.
This is the World War II. Marking the liberation of the Netherlands by Canadian troops. I cannot read the screen at all right now. It's like really dim, so if you have said hello, although no. That was a phone call which just interrupted things there, but I don't even try to answer those when I'm doing this. I just put into voicemail. Look over this way. Off the path now. This is another of the rooms. This is like a meditation space over here, I believe. This will be very beautiful maybe the next time I walk. This is the Saskatchewan Residential School Memorial. There you go. So kind of a place for contemplation rather than looking at beautiful flowers, but there will be some in those beds, I presume. Or maybe it's natural grasses there, I don't know. This is the back of Government House. At one time, the official residence of the Lieutenant Governor. We'll go around to the front. I am headed. Over here is the conservatory. Very nice space in the winter, especially. Basically, it's a greenhouse. The old part of the house was built in the 19th century. And then in 1975-ish, a new addition. The office of the Lieutenant Governor is still in here, but it's no longer. Carriage under this overhang and to unload in inclement weather. We don't really use this entrance except possibly for ceremonial occasions. There's the plaque about it, as you can read. Built between 1888 and 1891. So this is all the old part. And then you see the brick changes. This is the 20s edition that has the ballroom in it. So I used to go in that door quite a bit. But again, they don't really use that one now because then this one, which was built in 2005 and opened by Queen Elizabeth, it's kind of the main wing for various things. I was here, for example, for a poetry week reading and other things like that. So there you go, Government House. There's a good look at the front of it. You see it says VR on the top for Victoria Regina. She was queen when it was built. Another call. That one was my wife, so I took it, but it's not urgent. Possibly the other one was too, I don't know. But it announced who it was, so I don't think the previous one was her. Okay, this is the back of Pioneer Village, which is a senior's residence. I think I can probably walk around the far end here. I never tried, but I'm hoping I can. It's hard to be sure though. Will that take me around the end or not? There is a sidewalk there, so I think it will. I can get there. Besides, I don't usually come down this side of Government House, so let's take a look at that. I've never been on this side of it, actually, despite writing the book about it. On this side of the new wing. Obviously, there's parking here. We'll go this way. There's a sidewalk over there that'll take me somewhere. And a delivery truck headed somewhere. I think that doesn't go anywhere. That doesn't go anywhere. But if I go down this end, I should come out on the street. This is all new. Haven't walked this way before. It's a daycare over here. I didn't know that. There's a sidewalk, which will take me somewhere. Somewhere out there. I know I'll find a way. I don't even know what these buildings are. Are they official buildings of some site? Are they condos? I have no idea what this building is. Nor do I see a sign. It may still be part of the seniors' residence complex. I just don't know. Well, I think that's definitely seniors, like individual units, condo style. Or it might just be a condo building. I do not know. Or do I know what that rather forbidding pile of blocks represents? Sorry, I'm failing as in my tour guide responsibilities here, but I have never walked down this part of the street before. I think I can go on down another, oh, here we go. Hewitt Place, Muchmore Lodge, Pioneer Village. Yeah, this is all part of the Pioneer Village complex. Okay. So most of these buildings around here are part of that seniors complex. Has a lot of residents. I think if I go down there, I can still walk down to where I have to go to get under the railroad tracks. We'll find out. Another street in over 2 years of walking I have never walked down. There's traffic on that road, so that means off to the left. It has to go somewhere. It's a helicopter coming. Probably air ambulance. That's most of the helicopters we see. Of course, it doesn't have to be. Other people use helicopters too. Resource companies and that sort of thing. An old neighborhood that doesn't seem to have had a lot of new houses added to it recently, although that looks pretty new, and one next to it. A lot of these look very original to the neighborhood, probably built in the post-war years, maybe in the 50s. It's hard to tell when it's a box, when it was built. Not a lot of stylistic cues. I think that one's probably newish, or at least it's an old one that's been expanded. In fact, it looks like they're still working on it. Right then, where are we now? That's a church there. Okay, I know where we are because I used to drive down this street. This is 11th Avenue. Maybe this is the one that goes out more directly to the... Yes, I know exactly where I am now. think there's a bit of a path here. Why don't we take it? Let's take the path. Because again, I have never walked here. That's Gateway Church. Probably Alliance, denominationally speaking. Big parking lot. It's a good sized church. Nice little path through the trees. I had no idea this was here either. I take that back. When I took Alice to school, I would drive down that street, and then you could go up directly to the front of the school, or at least I took her there for a while, and then later they had a new entrance on the other side where the gymnasium is, and then I was taking her over there. But when we first started, we went up this way, and she first started. I guess I kind of started my career as a Luther College High School parent. My brief 4-year career as a parent of a high school student. Now I'm the parent of a university student, but that's about to end too. Then I'll be the parent of a graduate student. How weird is that? This is a nice little park. That's the front of well, it looks like the main entrance to the church probably. There's this really nice little playground and picnic area. With an awning over it. This would be city owned. I have to keep working my way to the left because I have to go under the railroad tracks to get back to the car. And it's either go all the way back to the creek, which takes me out of my way. Although, no, that would be out of my way. Or I go down here and I walk along Lewvan. Yeah, it looks like I can go down even another block before I have to go over to the left. Oh, except I think the path starts before, oh, maybe I'll stay on this one. I think the path starts before you get to the dike, so going down this way might be the best place to get onto the path under the dike. I'll take a look when I walk by and remember for next time. There's the railroad tracks on the block down. The transcontinental CP line, main CP line. They don't call it the transcontinental up here. That was more the US term for the first railway across the continent. The CP line was a much bigger challenge than the one in the States because the distance was so much farther, and they had to build in the Canadian Shield in Northern Ontario, which was a real nightmare apparently. So there's some great books about it. By Pierre Burton. National Dream. It's the most famous one. There's actually more than one book. I think we have an autographed copy. We were reading it not that long ago. Very interesting, very important Canadian history. And an enormous engineering feat. They did things big in the 19th century. These days, it'd all be tied up in red tape and environmental assessments and protests. You'd never be able to build it. There's Mosaic Stadium, home of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, of the Canadian Football League. Our main stadium, our only stadium really, of any size. There's some smaller playing fields. There's one out in Douglas Park I've walked by sometimes, which is rather nice, but I can't imagine it seats more than a few hundred people in the bleachers there. It is a very nice field though. And we'll be over in Douglas Park at some point in the not too distant future, I would think. Although again, I will be not walking for a bit because, well, not here. I hope to do a walk in Halifax when I'm there. Probably won't do one in Toronto, but when I'm there, but yeah, okay. We'll get on this path over here now. It's also the Agrodome over there. That's where the Regina Pats play, the hockey team, in the Western Hockey League. This path will take us under the railroad tracks, and then it'll just be a couple of blocks from the car once we get to the other side. And the end of this here walk. As far as I know, nobody has said hello. I can't really see the screen, so I could be wrong about that. But for all I know, no, the screen's still on. I was going to say, for all I know, it quit at some point. So if you have said hello, I'm sorry if I have not noticed or responded. I need a cloudy day. Also, if I were wearing my glasses other than my contacts, it would be easier. My contacts need reading glasses. And my left one keeps getting gummy, which interferes with reading fine print as well. Once I get under the railroad track here, I should be able to at least see if anybody has said anything. Oh. No, I don't see any indication that anybody on YouTube has set a peep today, which is kind of odd. There's the intersection of Lewvan and Saskatchewan Drive. And now we are on the south side of the main CP line. It's always possible that the feed failed at some point and I didn't notice, but I'll check. The video is saved automatically to the phone, and I used to upload the phone video because it can be higher resolution and it doesn't have any buffering, but it just seemed like one step too many most days, so I've gone to what most live walkers do, which is just archive the live walk and not try to make a separate upload of the somewhat better video. There's too much of it anyway. Who cares? If one doesn't work out, there'll be another one along shortly. I mean, I haven't done every day, but I must be around the 700 mark for these in total, maybe more. After more than 2 years now, I would say I'm somewhere over 700 walks that I've live streamed. I must have repeated myself a lot. So if anybody goes to the beginning and starts watching them all through from the beginning and taking notes, let me know if I repeated, how many times I've repeated myself, including talking about how much I've repeated myself. I've probably repeated myself talking about repeating myself repeatedly. Pleased that my knee has held up again very well, so it's not causing me any major difficulty, although if I end up doing any musical theater, it may make dancing a problem. And I do hope to get back to doing musical theater. It's been a long time since I did a proper show. I mean, we just did this 70s concert, which was fun. There'll be something like that in the fall, but I auditioned for Spamalot, but didn't get in. There's not much for me there unless it was King Arthur. But also, I was going to miss like a third of the rehearsals, maybe more. So that probably contributed to my not being cast. If I were a director, I would have said, oh, well, he was great. But modestly, I think I am pretty good. But, you know, he's missing all these rehearsals. I don't think we can. It's fair to the others to use him. And I can't even argue with that because I agree. Okay, here we are back on 13th. We'll cross as soon as it seems safe to do so. Which is only when there's a red light down there and nobody coming. There's probably a crosswalk up here somewhere, but I don't know exactly where. I think we can do it now. Playground over here. Like paving equipment over there. There are some nice, bigger, newer houses over here. as I said, I think 13th has gotten busier. I assume it's because of the bypass on out that way. But there are, there's a fair number of neighborhood over here, fair bit of neighborhood over here, fair bit of neighborhood over here. So that's a mail truck there. The only way you can tell a male truck from a female truck is by the plumage. Oh, I amused myself. Possibly not you, but definitely me. 1 block to go on this walk. Kind of along the creek, although we didn't see much of it once I headed over to Dudney. But it was very scenic, the part we did see. Welcome, bienvenue, Italian Pavilion. It says Italian Pavilion because Mosaic is coming up, which is a multicultural festival that's been going on for many years. And various of these ethnic meeting places, and there are several of them, like our show was just in the Hungarian club, and I know there's a German club, I don't know what else, will host a pavilion featuring that particular country. So this is where the Italian Pavilion is. You come and you have food, and there's, ethnic entertainment of that particular ethnic group. And it's not something I've ever gone to, so that's about all I can say about it. Lived here I think it's been going on as long as I've lived in Regina, close to it, but I've never gone. It's because I'm not a huge fan of crowds. All right, this view will look familiar if you've watched from the beginning, but probably nobody did that. So I'm back, and that's it for today. Thank you for walking with me. Tomorrow might be downtown, I'm not sure yet. Bye for now.